So good afternoon everyone. My name is Nirav Parikh and I am the technical lead for D-Link India structured cabling business and principal trainer DCC, which stands for D-Link certified cabling expert. So first of all, welcome everyone for the live discussion. See, agenda of today's discussion is very much different than our previous webinar, whichever we have taken. So today we are going to discuss regarding the digital transformation, then energy efficiency for the commercial building, greenhouse gases effect, which is present in the atmosphere, ROHS compliant product, and many more things. So this is bit different. And most importantly, we'll be discussing regarding the role of structure cabling when we are talking about the energy efficient building, green technology, and what would be the vital role of structure cabling. Okay, so if we say digital transformation, if we talk about the digital transformation, we are witnessing the importance of digital transformation and the way it is changing almost every company into technology company, and lot of movement happening in the network. See, many new applications are being added to the network, and the older application like BMS or smart building applications are getting converged with the IP. So newer devices like access control, lightning, then IoT sensors, Wi-Fi 6 access point, high power cameras are getting connected to the network. So we are seeing the agility in the significant upgrades to the wired and wireless standard, and innovation design consideration in switching, wireless and structure cabling solutions. So today most of the on-premises applications are moved to the cloud. When we talk about the digital transformation, see, main topic of discussion is regarding some of the green building concept. See how energy efficiency for commercial building is important, and it is helping to reduce the carbon footprint. So this is one of the responsibility towards the society. See, reducing carbon footprint will help in less contribution towards the greenhouse gases. Due to optimization of the energy, less fossil fuel will be burned at the power plant. See, we know that most of our power plant, which is providing the power or electricity to all the buildings, are still running on the fossil fuel. So more burning of fossil fuel will contribute to the more greenhouse gases. But if you are optimizing the energy in a proper way, okay, less fossil fuel will burn and it will less contribute to the greenhouse gases. So this is very, very important. So why we will discuss why now more building are prioritizing energy efficiency, use of DC power distribution system, use of ROHS compliant. See, this is very important that your products are ROHS compliant. You need a human friendly environment. Then what is the effect of greenhouse gases which is present in the atmosphere? And then we'll be talking about technologies that empower smart buildings. And I'm sure everybody has heard about the prevalent or how it is getting popular, that is regarding single pair ethernet, how it can be helpful to save the space and the weight. And finally, which jacket to be used, whether I should use PVC jacket or LSZH. I am sure, I also get a lot of call regarding the PVC LSZH. There are still some different concepts. So which jacket should be used during which application or which location? So all this will be discussing. Now the most important part is coming to all about topic what we have discussed is role of structure cabling. Role of structure cabling is really very vital. Now for energy efficiency, we use DC power distribution system, like for example power over ethernet. Every day we are using PoE switches. In every network we are using PoE. We know that there are type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. So for example, if we take type 3 and type 4 PoE technology, where 4 pairs are energized, thus reducing number of wires used in the building. See, previously what was happening, we were using separate wire for data and separate wire for the power. So there was no convergence of data and power. Now due to this technology, we are able to reduce the number of wires. So we are using less raw material, and on top of that, all our materials are ROHS compliant. All our material are ROHS compliant. So this is the beauty where we are helping to reduce the carbon footprint. Now let us understand the role of structure cabling. See, if you are not using a good quality of cable, the resistance between the two wire what you are using in the cable is unacceptable. One, the resistance unbalance is unacceptable. So do you think we'll be able to get the current what we are supplying? No. because this is splitted into two wires, and if this resistance is unacceptable, you will never get the signal. Your signal will be distorted, your transformer will get saturated. So it is very necessary. So we don't actually define what is the role of structure cabling behind all this technology or energy efficiency building, but it is very vital. If you are using a below grade cable, or if you are not using a pure virgin in the conductor, pure virgin copper in the conductor, maybe somebody is using a CCA cable. So if you are not following the guidelines, the certification procedure, you can use any cable. So it is very necessary that the role of structure cabling, what type of cable you are using, so the resistance unbalance is in proper and you are able to receive the current what you are supplying. So your power source equipment and power device can do the handshake and they can receive the power what is required. Now again, if you are talking about the proper cable which can be used in the bundle, so by following the standard you should use number of cable depending on your wire gauge what can be used in the bundle. If more cables are used in the bundle, because of the heat generation, the cable will degrade, your insertion loss will impact. Okay, also you might need to reduce the channel length. So all these things depend. So structure cabling role is really very vital when we talk about any green efficiency building or green technology building or energy efficiency building. Now again, structure cabling, what type of jacket should I use, whether I should use LSZH or PVC? So selecting proper structure cabling will not only suffice the need for today but also for the future. So these all things, if we are doing properly in the structure cabling, this is really going to help us to reduce our carbon footprint. It is going to help us to reduce our carbon footprint and contribute towards the nature. This is also one of our responsibility towards the society. Now if we talk about user connectivity previously, okay, so how the enterprise network is today, of course we have desktop, we have data and voice which is wired connectivity, and also we have wireless connectivity. Now if we talk about infrastructure connectivity, first of all we'll be talking about security. So we have access control, video surveillance, AV display, then we have LED light, sensor. So when we talk about digital infrastructure, now how digital transformation of the building happens. So if you see the left hand side image, we can see there are different application connected with different controller, and we can see separate cable for data and power. Whereas on the right hand side, we can see intelligent connectivity on IP, where we have unified control mechanism. Okay, and most importantly, we can see the convergence of data and power. So both data and power are sent on the same cable. So previously we have already discussed that we are reducing the number of wires which are used in the building. So this drastically helps in reducing and giving you more energy efficient connectivity and reducing the carbon footprint because you will be using less raw material. Now let us come to the today's topic, which is very important, and we will be discussing why energy efficiency is important for the commercial building, and also we'll be discussing why we are discussing or all of a sudden we are caring for energy efficiency building. What is happening? What is driving force which is making us to think that all the buildings should be more energy efficiency and we should reduce the carbon footprint? So if we are talking about energy efficiency for the commercial building, yes, it is very important. Not only it will be more efficient building will reduce the operating cost, but the more building that prioritize energy efficiency, smaller will be our carbon footprint, which is also one of the responsibility towards the society. If we talk about the US, as per one of the survey, buildings are estimated to be responsible for about 40% of primary energy use, 72% of electricity consumption, and 39% of carbon emission. So this is overall calculation. So what is one of the most impactful things which can be done to make building more energy efficient? Okay, so let us start with very basic. Let us try to understand what type of electricity is being distributed throughout the building. That needs to be considered. So there are two types of electricity: alternating current and direct current. Currently, alternating power is being delivered to the building from power plant. All the power plant are giving all the building AC electricity. Okay, now let us understand in building in today's trend, which is more useful, whether AC electricity or DC electricity, which is taking more load. So it is found that about DC consumption makes about 74% of total energy load in the building. The building which is having EV charging station or HVAC equipment with DC motors. This means that DC electrical load in the building with AC distribution are not getting the type of electricity they require, because our requirement is DC electricity, but what is being supplied, it is AC. So they have to convert this AC power they get into the DC power they need. So this is often inefficient process, which is wasting about 5 to 20% of power consumed by a load. So this is the wastage of energy. We are not optimizing the energy in a proper way. Just imagine if we are delivering DC power or DC power distribution to DC electrical load such as LED lighting, can therefore cut back on energy wasted by AC to DC converter. See, whatever energy we are wasting in AC to DC conversion, we will be cutting off that by using DC power distribution system. So to do this, we need a DC power distribution system. So there are two class. One is class 2 rated power system. We all are using that. It is currently very prevalent and it is a decade old technology. So I am talking about nothing but power over Ethernet, which is also known as low voltage DC power distribution system in the building. More recently, we have found some competition for the POE also. So this is class 4 system, okay, which is also called as fault managed power system. So this was introduced in 2023 by National Electric Code, which is written in Article 726. Even if you see, UL is investigating on this class 4 system under UL 1400-1 and 1400-2. So now we have two DC power distribution system. Of course, class 4 system, which is also called fault managed power system, is not much prevalent. Just last year, 2023, it has been introduced, whereas power over Ethernet is a decade old technology. So uh, let us understand the difference between this. Before that, what are the technologies that is empowering the smart building? So we have power over Ethernet, which is a DC power distribution system. Then we have class 4 fault managed power system, which is again a DC distribution system. Then we have single pair Ethernet and USB. Now, before that, since we were talking about the energy efficiency, wanted to understand why all of a sudden we are talking about this. So if we are delivering, if we are, why now we are talking about energy efficiency? Yeah, this is most important. The thing is that all digital devices that is requiring semiconductors or batteries require DC electricity. As I told previously, 74% of our load is DC electricity nowadays, whatever equipment we are using compared to AC electricity. So digital device has a semiconductor or batteries, and fortunately world is increasingly becoming more digital. So now it is very important that we talk about the how to optimize the energy. So the demand for DC power is increasing. This DC electrical system and devices are also evolving. For example, battery storage system for solar power, level 3 electrical vehicle which is used for fast charging, variable frequency drive for HVAC system, smart hubs and more, all are being developed and used more often. So as these DC devices and system develop, they act as the tailwind for the proliferation of DC power distribution. So this is the major reason why it is appropriate that NEC has also introduced one more type, that is class 4 rating. Okay, so before going to the difference between class 2 and class 4 DC power distribution system, let us have a basic understanding. First, let us talk about power over Ethernet. Okay, so what is power over Ethernet? We are very much familiar with power over Ethernet. We know that it has type 1, type 2. Okay, so we know it began with 15.4 watt, then 30 watt, then 60 watt and 90 watt. Okay, so it is using the convergence of data and power. Both data and power are sent through the same cable. Okay. So maximum we get about 90 watt or 100 watt, and typically the voltage is around 48 volt DC. So it can be around 44 to 57 volt, but typically we use 48 volt DC, what we have seen for power over Ethernet. Now a small introduction for the class 4, which is also called fault manage. So if you are similar or familiar with National Electrical Code, you probably will be aware that there are 4 different categories with the power system or circuit. So they can be either categorized under wiring method in the code book. It is called class 1, 2 or 3. But this new power system rating, that is class 4. Now this is first time introduced after 45 years. If we see, class 3 was introduced in 1978. Now 2023 in article 726, first time we are seeing that class 4 is introduced. Okay. Now if you see some of the beauty of class 4, it can safely provide up to 450 volt DC with no wattage limit. See why it is specifying no wattage limit. As soon as you are using PoE 90 watt or 100 watt, that is the maximum wattage limit you will get. Okay, but here you have no wattage limit and it can safely provide 450 volt DC. It will immediately stop the flow of power almost immediately in few milliseconds if any predefined fault are detected. So that is why it is also called fault managed power system. So although each class 4 power system would use its own technology to fulfill this requirement, certain class 4 system may achieve this result using integrated sensor or any intelligent software. So now we know some of the basic of power over Ethernet, which is a DC power distribution system, and now also the class 4 system, which is again a DC power distribution system. See, we have friends already discussed why we want DC power distribution system, because we want to cut off the waste of energy what we were doing to convert AC into DC. So we wanted some proper mechanism, and one of the mechanism we are already using, that is power over Ethernet. We have used or we are using type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, everything we are using, and this is very recently added in 2023, that is class 4 rating. So of course it has its own advantage, but if you ask me what will be more prevalent, of course, uh, since it is a decade old technology, PoE, this will be more prevalent. More companies are making these technologies. Okay, so more people will be aware of PoE. But of course, there is a certain limitation in terms of distance, in terms of voltage, because it is a low power distribution system when I'm talking about power over Ethernet. And then there are some limitations also, and it can become at certain times very expensive also, power over Ethernet, because after every 100 meter you will be needing an extender. So now let us focus on some of the difference between power over Ethernet and class 4 system, that is fault managed system, which is both are DC power distribution system. So now what is the PoE circuit? PoE circuits are limited for 100 watt maximum and 60 volt maximum. So I'm sure everybody must be aware that whatever is below 60 volt DC is called as safety extra low voltage port or low voltage. So whenever I'm talking about PoE switch, all the ports are safety extra low voltage. Now PoE, they are power limited. They are considered safe from a fire initiation standpoint. They provide acceptable protection from electrical shock. When we talk about PoE, it gives the acceptable protection. And then typical, the maximum distance of transmission for data and power with power over Ethernet is 100 meter. We know that. See, somebody might say that in the market there are PoE switches available which can support up to 250 meters. See, friends, we are here strongly following the guideline or the standards, guideline given by the standard. See, if I am talking about category 6 cable, for example, then it is very clear that category 6 is defined for 1 gig speed for the distance of 100 meter. So if I'm saying that I'm giving a power over Ethernet support at 250 meter, then automatically I am compromising on my speed. If I'm using the Cat 6 cable, I am not going to get 1 gig at 250 meter. So definitely, as per the standard, the maximum distance limitation, considering the speed and the power of Ethernet, is 100 meter. Okay, and one more important thing, uh, what we are witnessing is that PoE can only be used with PoE enabled device. So both your power device and power source equipment, both device should be PoE enabled. So this will include some of the devices which are developed for the PoE systems are VoIP phone, then you have access points, security cameras, even some computers. But we should know that the amount of power that it can supply to the load is maximum 90 watt or particularly typical 48 volt DC per cable. So it really work in low power application. Now coming to class 4 application or class 4 system, DC power distribution system. So we have seen in PoE what are certain limitations, but of course it is more prevalent and decade old technology. It is safe as fire initiation point and again protection from the electric shock. Now similarly class 4 system, we have already discussed that it can provide safely 450 volt DC in the previous slide. Okay, it can provide 450 volt DC and there is a pre-fault detection for the any fault occurring. So class 4 system are considered safe from electric shock and fire initiation standpoint as PoE, but they are not power limited. Whereas in PoE we had a power limitation of 100 watt or 90 watt. Instead they are fault managed. Another major difference between PoE and class 4 system is that PoE system provide both power and data through a single cable. We know that convergence of data and power through single cable we know in PoE. Thus we are reducing number of wires or use of raw material in the building. But we have already discussed that all these things also depends on the quality of structure cabling, whether we are using pure copper, okay, which category of cable we are using. So depending on the wire gauge, number of cables depends on the bundle, because that is going to impact your insertion loss. Even if your operating temperature of cable is not proper, it is going to degrade the cable because of the heat generation which takes place in the bundle cable. So all these points are very important. Structure cabling role is very vital. Now we have seen that both data and power are supplied through the same cable in PoE. But when we talk about class 4 system, typically it will transmit the power over cable, but there is no specification for data transmission. So class 4 system can send data via any means, such as over wireless mesh network. So it can use some different mechanism to send the data. Now coming to the second point, load powered by class 4 can be much further away from the power source. We had a 100-meter limitation, but this is 20 times more. Typically maximum distance what you can cover is 2 kilometers. Now coming to the third point, that class 4 power system can provide much higher power level than PoE. We have seen that it can provide up to 450, so almost 10 times more voltage level, and they don't have any power limit. So these are the things what we can see. And conversely, if you see, power load do not need to be specifically class 4. Power load specifically, whereas in PoE we knew that both the devices should be PoE enabled, then only it will work. So this class 4 system have a power receiver that converts class 4 power back to the required voltage. So and again, similar to PoE, class 4 system typically only require low voltage wiring practice. Okay, so these are the difference between PoE and class 4 DC power distribution system. Now there was a question, is power over Ethernet safe? So now small brief on power over Ethernet. See, we know that power over Ethernet has been around now for several years. Okay, starting with type 1, which was introduced in 2003, which delivered up to 15.4 watt with 13 watt available to the device. Then followed by PoE plus technology, which is type 2, where you deliver 30 watt and you used to get 25.5 watt. Now at this level, DC power, no one really questioned whether PoE is safe or not. But once 4 pair type 3 and type 4 PoE were introduced in 2018 at 60 watt and 90 watt respectively, National Electric Code was revised to address this 60 watt remote powering circuit. So then, question or many started wondering whether PoE is safe or not. So let's have a look on this. So what does that mean for PoE? So as per IEEE standard, PO is injected into the cable at voltage between 44 and 57 volt DC, typically 48 volt DC. So typically anything less than 35 volt AC or 60 volt DC is considered safety extra low voltage. So by definition, PO enabled ports are safety extra low voltage. So not to say that we are not saying that 48 volt DC can't shock you, but nobody is asking you to remove the insulation and touch the wire with the wet hand. Nobody is asking. See, if you remember when we were kid, we used to touch our tongue to a 9 volt battery. So it is similar to that. So because power sourcing equipment must experience the handshake with power device before power is delivered. So if there is no handshake, no power. So that is quite different than a standard AC power receptacle that is constantly supplying the power, regardless whether you have got a device plugged in or not. So in nutshell, the answer is yes, PoE is safe. Then why there is always a but? So if PO is safe, then why it was addressed in NEC for the power level above 60 watt? See, answer is there could be still the potential hazard caused by heating or the heat being generated by POE within the cable bundle that can cause insertion loss and cable degradation over the period of time, preventing proper data transmission. And with everything from phone, your security devices to life safety system connecting to, all are being powered over the network, and loss of signal means it is direct threat to the life safety issue. So that is the reason NEC specifies or revise the code when we are talking about type 3 and type 4. So what does NEC does? NEC specifies what number of cable should be allowed in a bundle, and this depends on your conductor size and the temperature rating. For 60 watt and higher PoE, or you require use of limited power cable. So now let us discuss the worst case scenario when we are talking about the fire safety when it comes to PoE. So let us take a worst case scenario. See, if we are not following any standard, any guidelines, or any certification, then what will happen? Installer or anyone can do as per his own wish. Okay, there could be a large tight bundle simultaneously delivering high power 60 watt, and these are placed in a hot ceiling space which is having above 40 degrees centigrade from one point to another without breaking the bundles into smaller ones. It also has a low quality, let us say, because we are talking about the worst case scenario, let us say it is low quality unshielded cable. Instead of copper, we are using copper cladded aluminum in close proximity to combustible material. So to avoid such scenario, it is really important that we follow the NEC. NEC has already defined how many cables should be there in the bundle, okay, with what conductor size and what temperature. So always follow TSB 184A guideline for installation, NEC guideline, and certification method. So if you had certified this cable, if you had tested this cable, you could have catched that it is CCA and it is not copper cable. So this helps in avoiding the worst case scenario, which can cause an accident. Now, even if there is no issue, POE can still wreak a havoc on the transmission if the cable isn't properly balanced. In 4 pair type 3 and type 4 PoE, power is delivered over all 4 pair via common mode voltage. We know that. So current is split between the two conductor. So if the DC resistance must be balanced, if it is too much, it will cause the transformer to saturate and Ethernet data to be distorted. So this is very important. So somebody can ask, then what points we need to consider if we are using a type 3 or type 4 PoE type. So the new type of power over Ethernet is also commonly referred as PoE++ or 4 pair PoE, which supports more power. So due to high power, there will be significant heat rise and cable arcing, which could have harmful effect on the cabling system performance. So an extreme temperature which can increase the cable operating range can damage the cable. So what are the precautionary point to avoid this? There are some measures which we can take care. We can ensure that the ambient temperature and the cable bundle temperature does not exceed the cable operating temperature. Minimize the cable bundling. Use the guideline. If possible, use open tray or similar cable management to have unrestricted airflow. This is very, very important. Reduce channel length. Limit the bundle sizes to ensure the temperature rise is not more than 50 degrees centigrade, and you get a gap between your operating temperature and the rise in temperature plus ambient temperature. Cooler temperature maintains cable integrity and lifespan. And your connecting hardware, especially your keystone, should be compliant to IEC standard 60512-99-001 to have uninterrupted performance. See, even some of the vendors have increased the temperature. So previously, if I say my keystone was having 60 degrees Celsius, now it is 65 degrees Celsius. So when I am going to use type 3 or type 4, we have to take atmosphere, what type of bundle or how many cables we are using in the bundle, what category of cable we are using, and what type of connector is my hardware compliant to IC standard, all these things, and then following TSB 184 installation guideline. All these things are very, very important. Now, this is very, very important topic. I am sure everybody must have heard about greenhouse effect, global warming, climate change. What actually is happening? What is greenhouse effect? See, in energy efficient building, we have understood that we should reduce the carbon footprint. Okay, that is going to help to improve our global warming condition. The moment there is more carbon footprint, or you are burning more fossil fuel, more carbon dioxide, methane, all these greenhouse gases which is getting collected in the atmosphere, so they are present naturally also, and they can get collected through burning of fossil fuel also. So we have to reduce this. Okay, so first understand what is greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect occurs when greenhouse gases in the planet atmosphere trap some of the heat radiated from the planet surface, raising its temperature. This process happens because the star or the sun, which is emitting short wave radiation, it will pass through the greenhouse gases, but the planet emit long wave radiation, and that is partly absorbed by the greenhouse gases which is present in the atmosphere. So the difference reduces the 1 second. I'll just checking my power. Just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. Oh. Hmm. So, so the difference reduces the planet, which can cool off in response to be warmed by its host star. So adding to greenhouse gases further reduces the rate at a planet emits radiation to the space, raising its average surface temperature. So what does the greenhouse effect does? It raises the average temperature of the planet, of the earth. So see, without greenhouse gases, let us say that earth average surface temperature was minus 18 degrees centigrade. Now compared to Earth 20th century with the presence of greenhouse gases, it is 14 degrees centigrade, and more recent average about 15 degrees centigrade in so not only in additionally naturally this present of greenhouse gases, but burning of fossil fuel has also increased the amount of carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere. As a result, some centigrade global warming of some centigrade has been increased. So this is very, very important that we reduce the carbon footprint. This is one of the responsibility towards the society. Now if you see the wavelength of the radiation emitted by the sun, since the sun has a different surface temperature, earth has a different surface temperature. If we talk about sun surface temperature, it is 5500 degrees centigrade. Okay, so it emits most of its energy as a short wave radiation, which is near infrared and visible wavelength. In contrast, if Earth's surface has much lower temperature, so it emits long wave radiation at mid and far infrared wavelength. So this is also called sometimes thermal radiation. So a gas in greenhouse gas, if it is absorbed long wave radiation, so the Earth atmosphere absorbs only 23%, which is coming from the sun, of incoming shortwave radiation, but absorbs 90% of the long wave radiation emitted by the surface. thus accumulating energy and warming the earth's surface. So this is all about the effect of greenhouse, which changes the climate. So this is very, very important that we reduce the greenhouse collection in the atmosphere. ROHS compliant. So we already have discussed that whatever component or material or even in the structure cabling, all these components are ROHS, because we make sure that it is designed to limit the dangerous chemical used in the consumer product. Okay, because it can deteriorate your health condition. You can get um, your health condition can be deteriorated. You can get a cancer or some other thing. So it is very, very important that all your products should be ROHS compliant. It is also one of the contribution towards the green technology or green building, where you need a human friendly environment. Now coming to single pair ethernet. So first thing is that the use of single pair ethernet is nothing to but to save the space and weight while improving the industrial IoT performance. So I'm sure everybody must have heard about single pair ethernet. So first let us understand your traditional ethernet. So ethernet is the most popular wired networking standard for the industrial internet of things, providing solid performance and proven reliability. So, and another advantage or beauty of Ethernet is power over Ethernet, reducing the wiring by providing power to the sensor or IoT endpoint over the same Ethernet cable. So there is no separate power cable required to on them. So Ethernet has become more popular in the passenger car, in automotive industry, and many other things. But if we talk about larger industrial IoT network, Ethernet cable bundle can become so large, heavy and cumbersome that the cable bundle can become obstruction that weigh down the equipment, requiring extra reinforcement. So this is particularly problematic in automotive application where the extra weight and space reduce the capacity and the mileage. So in industrial transportation applications such as truck, passenger, cargo train, aircraft, the extra size and weight of the cable can be large enough that it must be compensated in the system design, thus increasing the cost and slowing setup times. So to address this issue, manufacturers have introduced single pair Ethernet connector and cable that also support power over data line. So SP provides not only high speed data transmission as well as power over one twisted pair conductor. I'm again repeating, only on one twisted pair conductor. So let us see the difference between single pair Ethernet versus some conventional Ethernet. So we know that Ethernet is the most powerful or popular wired networking standard for commercial and industrial local area network. The most widely used version is 10 by 100 base T or gigabit transmission, which uses all four twisted pair. Now all this can be mostly it can be shielded to mitigate the effect of electromagnetic interference. Then it can be either 23 AWG or 24 AWG. Now this cable bundle can become heavy, and rather than route them across the floor where someone can trip. So when there is a large IoT, industrial IoT, these are bundled into harness which are attached to the wall, but their heavy cumbersome bundle weighs more. So you have to take care of that. In addition, uh, whether to add any extra cable or this weight has to be compensated, you have to put at every certain inch one J hook to carry the harness so that there is no much sag on the cable. Now coming to this, in additional, another problem with the Ethernet cable or conventional Ethernet cable is to have a length limit of 100 meter. Length limit of 100. So anything which any sensor or anyone which is connected more far than 100 meter, okay, needs to have an extender or a switch to extend the signal. So this is nothing but an extra maintenance cost, extra cost, and again you have to pay attention on different points. So this is one more complexity in the system. So with the extra time and added expense of the routing this thick heavy cable, it is clear that an alternate cabling method is needed. So now coming to single pair Ethernet. Single pair Ethernet provides bidirectional data transmission. It provides bidirectional data transmission over using one twisted pair cable. So it supports cable length up to 1000 meter, whereas traditional Ethernet was 100 meter, extending the reach to the network sensor without using any repeater. So this is the beauty when we talk about single pair Ethernet. This significantly lowers the weight and easy installation by simplifying the layout, providing maximum power efficiency, a smaller footprint and lower setup and maintenance cost compared to conventional Ethernet. So while industrial system can use shielded jackets to prevent cable bundle from interfering with each other, lightweight unshielded cable are also supported. So this is an advantage in automotive application, allowing lightweight cable that can be routed more easily, where mostly in the space constrained area such as under seats and beneath running boards, with the combined advantage of smaller and lighter cable along with providing high speed data alongside power delivery in a single cost effective pair of wire. So single pair Ethernet is expected to become a popular, if not dominant, but industrial communication standard. Now let us understand some of the SP single pair Ethernet basic. So IEEE specification for 10 megabit per second, which is 802.3 CG. It supports full duplex data communication up to 1000 meters. And what speed you are getting? 10 megabit per second. Then you have IEEE 802.3 BW, which supports full duplex data transmission over a single pair, and it provides up to 100 megabit per second for cable up to 50 meter. So what is the application? It targets high speed sensor in industrial application and some automotive application. Now if we talk about IEEE 802.3 BP, it supports full duplex data transmission for 1000 megabits per second, and the cable length is up to 15 meter. So this is applicable for some industrial sensor application, especially suited for high definition video as well as small aircraft and commercial automotive application, where your high speed sensor data must be transmitted over a relatively small distance. So this, and then lastly we have 802.3 CH, which supports up to 10 gigabit per second with a cable length of 15 meter. It is similar to 802.3 BP. Okay, so this is primarily focused on commercial automotive and industrial transportation application, where you have high data rate, smaller cable diameter, or especially lower weight are very important system design consideration. So single pair Ethernet with power over data line provide power to the Ethernet sensor or endpoint over the same twisted pair, with the amount of power delivery determined by the length of the cable and the wire gauge. So for example, at the maximum length of 1000 meter using 14 AWG wire, the IEEE specification allow for 60 volt and 13.53 watt of power at the endpoint. So this is all about single pair Ethernet. Now USB, we are not going into deep, just to understand that it is one of the trend which is used in the smart building. So USB has been tremendously effective outcome seen in the market. Nowadays USB port and cables are used to connect hardware such as keyboard, mouse, camera, storage devices, external hard disk, gaming equipment, and more of a various types of tablet, laptop, or robotics or manufacturing machine. Now there is always a question that should I choose LSZH or PVC jacket? Okay, so we have seen that in most of the case of fire, okay, people rather than dying because of the fire, they die because of the toxic gases, because of the smoke. So low smoke zero halogen cable would be safer and more reliable. See, I would rather say that the government should make mandatory to use low smoke zero halogen, since we are talking about energy efficient building, we are talking about the green building, ROHS compliant product, use of less raw material, use of less wire, reducing the carbon footprint. All these are taking place. Along that, government should make mandatory at public place where there are more people, and there are chances of getting fire and people can die because of the smoke. At malls or movies, theaters, all these places, it should be mandatory LSZS rather than giving right to installer or customer to select what type of cable they have to use. That is very, very important. This will convert the entire thing, because if you see the survey, entire world, so many people die because of the fire, or maybe probably because of the smoke. 60 to 80% people are dying because of the smoke in case of fire. So it becomes very, very important. So when we talk about low smoke zero halogen, would be much safer and more reliable for the places where fire presents as a hazard to the occupants. So we know that initial danger in the accident of a fire is not fire itself, but the chlorine and the monocarbon gases and the smoke produced. So therefore it is vital that appliances that are installed, which contribute major role to produce smoke and gas, when it is possible, when they will be burnt. So low smoke zero halogen cable can be applied in following situation: at the confined spaces with large number of amount of cable in close proximity to the humans or sensitive electronic equipment, or maybe in submarine and ships. It can be also used in hospital, data center, central office facility, mass transit, and telecommunication application. So when we talk about toxic gases, so we can see the difference here clearly, how it is going to be harmful when we see LSZH and PVC. So of course both has the property of flame retardant, but PVC will emit very harmful smoke. So when we talk about the toxic gases, so most common carbon monoxide is harmful for the human being even in small quantities. So it will reduce the oxygen level which is present in the bloodstream. Okay, hydrogen cyanide is also produced from burning of plastic such as PVC compound. So this all will lower your oxygen. You might get a itchy eyes or sore throat. At higher level, it can cause death also. So we can see here the percentage of oxygen level and what can it can impact. So this is very, very important that it should be mandatory, at least at the public places where more people are there, that it should make LSZH as a mandatory cable or the jacket. So yes, between 60 to 80% all of a sudden death occurring because of the smoke inhalation. Now let us discuss regarding few uh, dealing portfolio regarding the Cat 6 solution on the copper. So first of all, we have all types of cable, whether it is indoor or outdoor. We already discussed regarding LSZH and PVC jacket. So we have both the type of jacket, both are flame retardant. So it is FR-PVC and FR-LSZH. We have both variant UTP and STP combination. Further, we can categorize them as per regular cable, that is 23 AWG, or also we can provide 24 AWG. We have enhanced cable, horizontal cable, or CMR, CMP cable, or IEC 60332-3 jacket is available as per the requirement of the project. Similarly, in outdoor, we have double jacket, then we have armored cable with aluminum wire or GI wire or ECCS tape. We have jelly filled copper cable or with water soluble tape. The outer jacket can be LDP, SDP, or PVC or LSZH. Again, we can make the outer jacket or inner jacket anti-rodent, anti-termite. So we can add the adhesive or we can provide the armoring for anti-rodent, anti-termite. All these outdoor jackets are UV resistant. Okay. So different variants of cables are there which can be done as per the requirement. Our regular cable will have the required certificate of UL and ETL. ETL for the performance and UL for the safety. And then lot of other customization is possible as per the requirement. So we are seeing here few types of cable in category 6. Now coming to the accessories. So we know that we have UTP, STP, patch cord, then we have patch panel, different types of straight, angular patch panel. We have high density patch panel in 1U, like 48 port. So different combinations are available, different color keystones are available. Then we have Additionally, we have lockable patch cord. We have slim patch cord, that is 28 AWG patch cord or 30 AWG patch cord. You can see UTP Cat6 field termination plug and Cat6 STP field termination plug. So angular patch panel, unloaded, loaded. Then we have straight patch panel, loaded, unloaded. Similar for UTP and STP. Lockable patch cord. All these accessories are available. Just to take a few moment of yours. See, when I'm talking about 28 AWG patch cord, so if you see the latest standard, officially this patch cord has been officially recognized. See, because of the high density rack, there was a lot of issue managing lot of patch cord which are used for direct patching. Okay, so 28 AWG patch cord was becoming more popular for connecting this, but only issue. So first we understand that what is the advantage of 28 AWG patch cord. See, if you see the regular patch cord, it is 24 AWG patch cord. So 28 AWG patch cord is half, almost half the OD of 24 AWG patch cord, and it is much lighter in weight compared to 24 AWG patch cord. So now instead of using 24 AWG patch cord, just imagine you are using a 28 AWG patch cord for direct patching in the high density rack. So what all advantage you will get? You will get a more airflow, tight band control, radius. You get a tight band radius control. Okay. Any move addition changes become easy. And its availability, it is available in Cat 6, Cat 6A, all the categories. Okay, so this was mainly designed for data center or high corporate or high density where this is requirement. Of course, you have to follow the D rating factor since you have reduced the conductor diameter for reducing the OD, overall OD. So we know already what are the advantage, but this, please remember, the D rating factor is to reduce the channel length. Since your conductor has been decreased, it you will increase the resistance, so your channel length has to be decreased. So for example, if you are using a 90-meter solid cable with 5 meter patch cord, regular patch cord, to make 100-meter channel, in this case you will use only 6 meter. So again there will be a 90-meter cable and you will follow a D rating factor of 6 meters. So you will have 3 meter patch cord. Instead of going to 100-meter channel length, you will get 96-meter channel length. Similarly, but the application mostly when it was developed in data center or for direct patching, this is not the issue. And so you can take complete advantage of 28 AWG patch cord of its half the OD and the weight, and you can have a free airflow, and your controlling regarding this patch cord become very simpler. Now coming to the next category of cable, that is Cat 6A cable. So we have different design in Cat 6A. Friends, I hope everybody knows that Cat 6A is one of the higher category cable which is having a bandwidth of 500 megahertz and speed of 10 gigabit per second for 100-meter channel length. It is defined by the standard TIA and ISO for 100-meter for 10 gig applications. Okay, so this is very important. Cat 6A cable. See, because when we talk about higher category, if I talk about category 7, 7A, first of all, they are not recognized by TIA standard. And again, they use a non RJ45 connector. So that is the biggest drawback, though they were also defined for 10 gig. Okay, but use of non RJ45, so you need a skilled field engineer who can install this cable. So they never got prevalent or popular. So when we talk about higher category, so I am talking about category 6A, category 7, 7A, and category 8. Okay, so 7 and 7A, first of all, not recognized by TIA because of the use of non-RJ45, never got popular, and the speed defined for Cat 6A and Cat 7A was same. That is, they were defined for 10 gig. Again, they were only in the shielded option. So this could become costlier also, whereas in Cat 6A you have both the option. Now coming to the most higher category, category 8 was introduced in near about 2016, but the main thing was that it was for 25 gig and 40 gig support. It was used for 25 gig and 40 gig support. Now It was defined for 25, but this was when your fiber switch was very very costlier. So all the standards like IEEE, TIA, ISO, they came together, and this was mainly developed. Category 8 was mainly developed for data center solution. Okay, where field engineers were already conversant in connecting RJ45 or connecting copper cable. So it was only for connecting server to the switch. So the maximum distance or the channel length for category 8 was 30 meter, and it will support 25 gig and 40 gig. Of course, it has two type, class 1 and class 2. One will use RJ45 connector, another will use non RJ45 connector. But it is supporting 25 gig and 40 gig for 30-meter channel length. Since most of the application in the data center is not going to exceed beyond this 30 meters, so all the standard agreed to come out with the new category, that is category 8. So instead of paying heavy money for the totally populated fiber port switch, category 8 become a intermediate solution or cost effective solution for connecting a distance within 30 meter for 25 gig and 40 gig. Now the most reliability of category 8 was you need a copper switch or the copper port which can give you 25 gig and 40 gig. Unless this switch is out in the market, you cannot use category 8. You are not going to use category 8 for providing 10 gig, and you are going to pay more on the cable. So whenever we are talking on the higher category, as of now category 6A is the only cable recommended which will support 10 gig for 100 meter, and which is also recommended for class 2 rated DC power distribution system, that is PoE++. So this is one of the recommended cabling. Now friends, at the commencement of this, there were some problem with the category 6A. When it comes to the OD of the cable, the OD of the cable was the major challenge because it used to be 20-30% more compared to the cat 6 cable. And so whatever pathway you are going to use, you have to reduce the number of cables, so more pathway has to be used. And also you need to calculate the weight of the cable because of the heavy cable. So this was much problem at the commencement for some of the manufacturer, but slowly or gradually everybody has improved their design. If I'm talking about dealing itself, my first design, our first design was 8.8 OD compared to 6 mm OD of regular cat 6 cable. But now our latest design is 7.2 mm with much optimized performance. So you can drastically see from 8.8 now we are nominal 7.2 mm design what we are providing in the market. So continuously every vendor R&D is working on optimizing the design of cat 6A. And as I told, at the higher category, this is the most recommended cable by all the standard for all the applications such as data center, or whether you are using a Wi-Fi access point 6, 6E. Only this category, this will not only suffice your current need but also your future expectations will be met. When you are revamping on the active side, you don't have to change the cable. Okay, so this is regarding category 6A. Again, when it comes to the accessories, you have all the type of accessories in category 6A, with again 28 AWG patch cord and 30 AWG patch cord, different combinations of patch panel which are there. So straight patch panel, angular patch panel, then field termination plug, UTP, STP, all accessories are available. Okay, so we have already spoken regarding different variants in indoor for cat 6 cable. We have also spoken about different variants of cat 6A, how the improvisation has happened on the overall OD of the cable when it comes to cat 6A. So current D-Link OD for cat 6A cable is 7.2 mm nominal diameter. Okay, so we have optimized our design from 8.8 to 7.2 mm. Now coming to fiber cable, of course this is dealing has a complete structure cabling solution. So of course we have armored cable and different designs are possible, and already it is provided. So we have wet design, we have wet dry design, we have dry design. Different jackets like SDP or low smoke zero halogen can be provided. Different types of tensile strength, crush load, and different design like unitube, multi-tube, everything can be provided. Okay, so these are uh, variants of unarmored cable in fiber cable, again with different construction like wet wet, wet dry, dry dry, and again with different jacket like LSZH, SDP. Okay, if it is used for indoor, it can be PVC or LSZH. Then we have different types of aerial cable. It is ADSS, all dielectric self support, for different span length and wind speed. So for 50-meter, 70-meter span length, then 100-meter span length, and different wind speed. So of course we collect this information, and accordingly we can design the cable, aerial cable, and we can provide. So all different construction are possible. Different types of LIU, whether it's a drawer type or fixed type LIU or high density LIU. So we have 1U, 2U, 3U, and even if more density of ports are required, yes, we can provide. I've shown up to 288 port only right now in this particular slide. And then we have armored patch cord when we are using for the outdoor purpose. Okay. Similarly, if we talk about different wall mount LIU, yes, we have 6, 12, 24 port wall mount LIU, 48 port wall mount LIU. Then we have IP55 rating wall mount LIU or pole mount LIU. Similarly, we have IP67 rating. Then we have DIN rail LIU, we have compact LIU. So all different combinations are there with us. Okay. So what is the key differentiator when we talk about dealing in the market? So this is, friends, my last slide. Okay. So for what is the key differentiator for dealing when we talk about? See, with pan India reach and robust product portfolio and excellent service infrastructure, dealing is regarded as a key market player. Our key forte is that we are end-to-end networking player, offering both active and passive solution. So we provide robust and cost-effective solution to the customer. We also work towards empowering our partner and system integrator to certification program like DCC, which is Dealing Certified Cabling Expert. So these factors make Dealing a leading vendor for end-to-end networking solution. So this was the last slide. Now I'll be waiting. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. Okay. So thank you so much. This was the session where we had discussed regarding the greenhouse effect, energy efficient building, then POE, which is class 2 power distribution system, DC power distribution system. Then we spoke about class 4. Then we spoke about different dealing portfolio on copper, fiber, category 6, category 6A. What is the key role of cabling, which was very important? What is the key role of the cabling, which we have already discussed? So friends, you can unmute yourself if you have any questions, or also you can get offline. So thank you so much. I'm waiting if you have any questions, or you can also put in the chat. I hope this session was useful. This was a bit different from whatever webinar we had previously. This was more about energy efficiency and carbon footprint. So some different concept altogether. So thank you so much.